The world watched in disbelief as President Trump dropped a bombshell, a 104% tariff on Chinese goods. This dramatic escalation in the US-China trade war sent shockwaves across the globe. This wasn't just another twist in a long-running economic saga. It was a seismic event with the potential to reshape the global order. Trump, true to his unpredictable style, didn't stop there. The tariff was soon bumped up to a staggering 125%, targeting a vast array of Chinese products. The message was clear. America was done playing nice. The era of free trade was over, and Trump was determined to rewrite the rules of the game. This wasn't a unilateral attack. Trump also imposed tariffs, albeit lower, on several other trading partners. The European Union, Canada, Japan, South Korea, India, all found themselves caught in the crossfire of Trump's trade war. The world braced itself for the fallout, knowing that when economic titans clash, innocent bystanders often pay the price. The initial reaction to Trump's tariff bombshell was sheer panic. Global markets went into freefall, with trillions of dollars being wiped out in a matter of hours. The FTSE 100, a key indicator of the health of the UK economy, plummeted by 2.5%. Across the Pacific, the Nikkei 225, Japan's leading stock index, suffered an even steeper fall, plunging by 4.3%. It was a bloodbath in the financial capitals of the world, as investors scrambled to protect their assets from the coming storm. The turmoil wasn't confined to the stock markets. Oil prices, a vital barometer of global economic health, also went on a wild ride. Brent crude, the international benchmark, initially crashed by 7% before staging a partial recovery as traders tried to gauge the long-term impact of the trade war. The fear gripping the markets was palpable. Google searches for the dreaded R-word, recession, skyrocketed as economists warned of the growing risk of a global downturn. The trade war, once seen as a distant threat, was now a clear and present danger, casting a long shadow over the global economy. The world watched in dismay as the trade war escalated, with countries scrambling to protect their own interests. The European Union, long a champion of free trade, found itself forced to retaliate, imposing a 20% tariff on a range of US goods. Japan and South Korea, both heavily reliant on trade, dispatched high-level delegations to Washington in a desperate bid to avert economic disaster. Their pleas fell on deaf ears, as the US slapped tariffs of 24% and 25% respectively on their exports. Canada, America's northern neighbor and largest trading partner, announced countermeasures of its own, targeting US products. Even developing countries like Cambodia, Vietnam, and India found themselves caught in the crossfire, facing increased tariffs on their exports to the US. The trade war was creating a climate of fear and uncertainty, undermining global cooperation, and threatening to unravel the delicate web of economic interdependence that had been painstakingly built up over decades. Section 4. Trump's gamble, America First or Global Recession? Trump, unfazed by the global outcry, remained defiant, justifying his actions as part of his America First agenda. He argued that previous administrations had allowed other countries, particularly China, to take advantage of the US, engaging in unfair trade practices and stealing American jobs. The tariffs, he insisted, were simply a negotiating tactic, a way to force China and other trading partners to the negotiating table and secure better deals for American workers and businesses. He remained convinced that his tough stance would ultimately benefit the US economy, even if it meant short-term pain for some. But critics warned that Trump was playing a dangerous game, risking a global recession for the sake of short-term political gain. They argued that his tariffs would harm American consumers and businesses, raise prices, and disrupt global supply chains. The trade war, they feared, would ultimately hurt the very people Trump claimed to be helping, the American middle class. It was a gamble with potentially catastrophic consequences, not just for the US, but for the entire global economy. Section 5. China fights back. A new world order in the making. China, for its part, refused to back down, vowing to fight to the end against what it perceived as US bullying tactics. Beijing accused the US of protectionism and unilateralism, arguing that Trump's actions violated international trade rules and undermined the global trading system. Instead of caving to US pressure, China doubled down on its efforts to become more self-sufficient, reducing its reliance on the US market and seeking out alternative trading partners. It also retaliated with tariffs of its own on US goods, targeting key American exports like soybeans and automobiles. The trade war marked a turning point in the relationship between the world's two largest economies. It exposed the deep mistrust and rivalry that had been simmering beneath the surface for years. It also raised the prospect of a new world order, one in which the US was no longer the undisputed economic superpower, and China played an increasingly assertive role on the global stage. The outcome of this high-stakes economic standoff remained uncertain. But one thing was clear: the world was entering a period of profound change, with far-reaching implications for the global economy and the balance of power in the 21st century.